If you start building the infrastructure like the railways that they're building, if you start developing the oil wells, it's both development, but also it's beneficial for China because you increase the trade relations. And I know that many people have accused China as being the new colonial power, colonizing Africa. So the governor of the Bank of Nigeria, the Central Bank of Nigeria, recently had an article in Financial Times saying that that's the new colonialism, Mr. Sanusi.
Indeed, the new colonialism, because you have China investing billions of dollars in these key African states, but the people working on these projects are exported from the mainland and not the local labor force.
And actually, the argument also goes even further. They say, when you think about the colonial relationships, the colonized countries will be exporting raw materials, and then the European countries or the Americans, they'll be exporting manufacturing goods back to Africa. And in many cases, you see this trade pattern right now. So if you look at Africa's export to China, about 80% is basically raw materials.
And it's not just Africa. We're also seeing China doing this in a lot of frontier markets here in Asia.
Yeah. But then when you step back and you ask yourself the question, why is this? Why is China getting so many materials out of Africa? Why don't the Africans export manufacturing goods? I think that actually part of the blame is going for Africa and not so much for China. Because if you build the business conditions for people to create manufacturing hubs in Africa, they will do it. Labor cost is still much cheaper in most of the African countries than in China. So
they're allowing themselves to be exploited because they also don't have the know-how and the technology.
The know-how and the technology, but I think that the key thing where governments can help a lot is actually creating the business environment. If you can create the right business environment, people will be building manufacturing companies and factories. But with so much corruption, with so much inefficiencies, bureaucracy, red tape, it's very difficult to do this.